So I saw Toy Story 5, and I thought it was good. This is by far my favorite of the Bonnie-centered Toy Story movies, and it definitely is the best Pixar movie since Turning Red. Now, it's definitely not all good. I did not like the first 10 to 15 minutes of this film. It wasn't terrible, but it just rushed through a lot of the stuff that I wanted to see with this premise. Bonnie gets her device so quickly, and this opening portion has very little room to breathe. The previous movies always had quieter scenes, so Bonnie developing her iPad addiction would not be so quickly dealt with if it was in a previous installment. The movie just brushes it off because they can only presume that Pixar didn't know how to do a story like this justice, so they just threw that storyline away as quickly as possible and then tried to distract us with nostalgia. Well done, nostalgia, but nostalgia nonetheless. So I'm not the biggest fan of the way the story gets set up, but once we see Jesse call Woody, that's when the movie starts to get interesting. Woody himself was a nice addition to the film. His character remained pretty intact, and whereas I can pick flaws with every other character's portrayal and writing in this movie, I had zero complaints with his character as well as the writing for his character. Though I find it very weird that Jesse barely reacts to seeing him after all this time. I even really like Jessie in this movie. This definitely fixes the problems I had with how useless she was ever since Toy Story 2. She finally goes through an arc. She finally overcomes the loss of Emily in a powerful and definitive way, and it was so well done. Speaking of which, Andy was only mentioned once in this movie, and I'm so happy about that. Because it finally felt like the franchise was allowed to fully evolve instead of sticking to the past. This felt like a fresh experience, and it massively benefited because of it. It also benefited from what I always wanted in a modern Pixar movie, which is a fully realized movie that has fully polished animation. And in many ways, a lot of the criticisms I had towards modern Pixar have been addressed here. Now, they weren't 100% fixed, but they were definitely addressed, mainly in the last half of this movie. And just like last time, I thought Forky was very funny. And then there's a potty training toy called Smarty Pants, and the jokes involving him weren't nearly as cringe as I was expecting, but again, he's still the type of comic relief that I could do without, but I did like him better than I was expecting. I also thought this movie had the better action of the two Bonnie-centered Toy Story films. The best action scene was the opening sequence involving the Buzz Lightyears escaping an island. The second best action scene was the chase where Woody and Buzz try to catch up to the car. The rest of the action to me was just okay. I was very disappointed by the final action scene and the climax. It just felt like it was rushed and very quickly edited and thrown together. And yes, Jesse does return to Emily's house in this movie. This plotline was handled very respectfully, like I said. But having said that, parts of it felt very off. It didn't have the same emotional weight that it should have, and I think getting a shot where Blaze swings with Jesse like Emily did would have made a strong emotional impact. There was definite enjoyment to be had with seeing the location that served as the setting for one of the most powerful scenes in the series, but the look of the animals that live on the farm is kind of cheap and doesn't fit into this world at all. 70% of the movie's dialogue did feel a bit cheap, and that's a shame because I honestly think that the other 30% of the dialogue demonstrated that it could have been so much more than that. Going back to a positive note, the ending to this movie was very nice and sweet, so much so that if Pixar wanted to make a Toy Story 6, they actually could now. So yeah, those are my quick thoughts on Toy Story 5. A big improvement over the previous Pixar films, and as of right now, I give the movie a 7 out of 10. Conceptually, this movie had a very good idea, and I think they did a decent job at it, but it definitely could have been so much better, and there are like a million plot holes in this film. For example, if the herd of buzzes are in the stage where they don't realize that they're toys, why are they cool with there being multiple of them? Is it just a normal thing in Buzz's fictional universe for him to be on a mission with other versions of himself? Or did each Buzz think the others were clones? And why are they cool with leaving one of them with a kid if they don't know their toys? I guess you could say that they didn't fully understand the details of the situation and were just willing to accept it as it was, since that Buzz clearly signaled that he was happy. But then the question becomes, why was he happy about it? Did he come to the realization that he was a toy in the span of minutes? Because the first two movies showed that it takes way longer for them to stop being delusional. And why does Bonnie go to the sleepover? I get why the lily pad would think that those potential friends would be good matches for her, but Bonnie goes to dance class with them. She's 8 years old. That's old enough to be able to assess the situation properly. Anyway, I did like this movie and I did have fun with it, as is evident from the score I gave it, but it does contain a lot of flaws.